Good morning, everyone. I will continue with my most recent acquisition. Can you spot the one I just bought? This one right here. One of my viewers wanted to know I'm turning this upside down because this little bit of paper hits my hand when I'm writing and it bothered me. So I'm turning it upside down and I hopefully won't have that problem. Here it is. Sorry. They all look alike, these pens. These are all Waterman Stately pens. Taperwrites Stately, or Taperwrite Corinth, or whatever the brands are. I don't know, and I really don't care what they're called. But this is the one I recently bought, and I put a sack in it. I took it apart without breaking it, which sometimes happens in this pen because of the brittle plastic these are made of, or many of them are made of. And for example, this one, which broke in half when I was uncapping it. My brute force. Anyway, what I've done is I put a sack in this pen and it seems to be writing perfectly fine. It took a while and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't writing well. And so I soaked it overnight in soapy water to get the old ink out of it. And it still seemed to skip. So what I did was I pulled this nib out just slightly from where it had been sat. And it's working fine now. Normally I don't have to do that with this pen, but I did. So it's working okay. In the case of these pens and how I price them, it tends to be based on condition. Yes, it may have something to do with the nib. There's some that just sing to me. They just really, really are lovely, and it turns out I just don't sell those. I keep them. But the ones I sell, the nib still will cause the price of the pen to be a range of its value might be $20 one way or the other. If a nib is firm and medium-ish, those are the ones that I think are the least interesting to me and the most common to use. I mean, you could buy a pen today at any pens shop and a pen that's made yesterday by a modern company has nibs that are medium and firm. You don't need to buy a vintage pen for that. And but the ones that have a little tiny bit of flex, which most of these do, now we're moving up from that baseline, and that baseline is pretty base. It's you can't get worse. I guess you could if the pen was broken, didn't write at all, that would be worse. But a pen that has a medium size nib, not broad, not overly wide, not italic, not anything, medium and inflexible, that's the base. Fine and inflexible, that's up. Italic and inflexible, that's up. Everything is up from medium firm, in my humble opinion. Now, medium firm can be smooth, some can be smoother, some can be scratchy. Some are great for left-handed people. There's variations on that kind of a nib. But for me, a pen nib can only go up from medium. Fine is better than medium. Flexible is better than firm. More interesting than firm. So anyway, these pen nibs None of them are going to be overly flexible. Some might be italic, some might be a stub. I don't think any of these are, but some could be made that way. This one is a little bit finer than many. Let's just try them all out. I've got nothing to do this morning. Yes, I have all sorts of stuff to do this morning, but I'm not going to do it. And you'll see what, when I bring these out, you'll see the prices that I put on them at some point, and they may be that same price that I put on them at some point, or they may be up, or they may be down. And I'll try to explain why, because these are all essentially the same pen, and some of them are going to be, I will value more, and I'll try to explain why. Some will be less. So this one that I just got, this might be a $50 pen. There's nothing wrong with it. It has a brushed chrome cap, aluminum cap. So I'd probably say aluminum cap. I'd say $50. Let's say for that one. Let's pick a different one. Let's pick this one. This is another one that has, this one I say 60. Now why would I say 60 for this one? It looks like it's the same as the other. Let's find out why I would have said 60. This might have a slightly more flexible nib, just slightly. Maybe that was why I said 60 on this one. It's hard to know. It might be my mood. Oftentimes when I am aluminum, I'm going to do these and keep them in order here just in case. When I try out pens and I sell pens to customers, and I've got a customer in front of me and I'm trying out different pens, I'm my best customer. I will buy, I'll will that the customer will put the pen down and choose something else so that I can buy the pen from me. Why does this have gold on it? Okay, these three pens are all essentially the same in terms of what they look like. They have this gold cap, and one of them, I think this one has plating wear on the clip. This one has a little tiny bit. This one's has, I don't know what this is, paint or something. I was doing a job using copper paint, and that's probably what that is. Let's assume that comes off. This one has a bend in it. It has a bend in it and a big old, I don't know what that is. I don't know, someone may have tried to, maybe that had initials on it and someone tried to scrape it off. So, this pen is $40 because it's gold cap, 40, bent. But if you can look past that, this has a really, really sweet nib. It's every bit as nice a nib as those two. It's just in a pen that has a limp or one eye or something. It has a cosmetic issue. This one has, what's wrong with this nib? Nothing's wrong with this nib. If I didn't already have one of these, I would say sold. I just bought it, but it's sale to you. This one has a nice looking cap. It's one of the shorter versions, which to me doesn't bother me in this particular pen, whether it's a short or a long one. In fact, I kind of like the shorter ones. Aesthetically, I like them. And as I've talked about, a pen that has my thought processes more toward the nib end because of its balance. It sort of has a certain determination to it, determined quality, which I like. So this one is $75, and it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that maybe I like it better. This one, similar to the one we just tried. What is this nib going to be like? Okay, this is the one that I think I had been writing with before. This is the one that has sort of a stub nib and makes me want to be angry. Makes me want to write an angry letter. And because of its broad nib and because of its squatty thing, I kind of like that match. And it is pretty flexible, actually, come to think of it. So this one again is, I'm going to say $80 on this one. I know I just said that I would not, but this is a broader nib. And I think that a pen like this that has a broader nib is kind of rare because most of them had fine nibs. So as a nib on this brand, this might be a slightly rarer nib. So gold broad. Okay, now next I'm going to do these two. These had, I don't know if these were called Crusaders, but these have this little star and these gold bands, or these incised lines on the gold cap. And I don't know if these were, I think these might have been sold to the boys in blue, military kind of people. Oftentimes you'll see a pen with this cap having a standard nib. And I value these caps a little bit more than I value these kind. Maybe because they have a seriousness to them. These are sort of pretty, and these are sort of serious. So there's a certain seriousness. And again, it's entirely has nothing to do with how they were made or who they were sold to, but I just value them a little bit more. And here I said this was $75, which I'll keep it at that price. I really like the nib on this one. And again, if I didn't probably already have one like this, I would probably keep this for myself because it has the kind of nib I like on these pens, which is fine, but a little bit of flexible. So gold cap with the star, and I said 75, so I'll just keep it where it's priced. There's a little bit of a bend in the clip there, but we'll call that a fencing scar. This is the same kind of pen, same kind of clip, except without the bend. I said $75. I'll just keep it there. Let's see what its nib is like. It's very similar. Gold, 75. With the star. These are really, really sweet pens. Now, another thing, this is a pen that, does this one? No. This one has a broad band here, clutch ring, and these are different from those, and these I think hold the pen tighter, but they both work. I think this was the earlier version, and then they went to these later because maybe they realized they worked better or they were cheaper to make. I have no idea what was in the mind of these people. But, so 75, okay. Really a nice, it's a workhorsey pen. Now these I've saved these for last because they have this brushed aluminum gold two-tone gold and silver, gold and chrome cap. And this one's in as the best condition. This is clearly in the worst condition. Why do I have them priced at the same price? One probably has a really cool nib on it. This has scratches and dings. The gold wash they put on top of these things was not very strong or thick or whatever. This one is almost smooth. These have bumps. Some are smooth. So like these are very well incised. These, some are not. And I think it's just they decided it was cheaper to do it the other way, so they did it the other way. So these would range in price based a lot on the cap condition. And you know, if I were selling these pens to you at a pen show and you wanted to buy this one, but you didn't want to pay $75, I might say, okay, well, let me switch the caps. Let me take that cap off and put this cap on. And the price would go down maybe $20 or so. There's always ways to make pens cheaper. And there's lots of ways to make pens more expensive. But Parker 51s and things like, you know, this pen and sometimes Skyliners that have many different cap styles. You know, this part of a 51 is almost always the same. Yes, there are different colors and stuff like that, but you could put a chrome cap, you could put a gold fill cap, you could put a gold fill cap with squiggly lines, you could put a gold fill cap with straight lines, and the gold fill cap with dings or without dings, those are the ones that are gonna, that's where the price lies. A lot of it is in the cap. And these pens, the same thing, because the caps are essentially interchangeable. But let's just look at the nibs here, because now that I told you that the caps are interchangeable, you'll know that. This one, they're not entirely interchangeable. The ones with the gold fill caps have a gold lever. The ones with the other kind of caps have a chrome lever, and not that they have to match, but it's nice when they do. I mean, the cap will work as well as a cap with, regardless of the color of the lever. And I've been known to put any sort of cap on any sort of pen if it means that I can use it. If I don't have the right cap, I could let it sit in a drawer, or I could put a cap that works perfectly fine on it and call it a day. So, what about this one? The cap is pretty good. Yeah, there's some dings and scratches, but I don't call this really, there's a ding right there. So, anyway, these are all the striped caps. Stripe. This is a nice nib. I don't know. What do I say for this one? 50? 50, I guess. This one has a much worse cap. So this one has a nice nib. Nothing wrong with the nib. There's a really nice fine when you flip it over. I'll say 45 on this one. Mainly because of the really fine nib on it. This one is a weird color. We might just call it an ugly color, because it kind of is. This has a really nice broad, springy kind of a nib, broader, springier nib. The lever has plating wear on it. The cap is one of the short little tiny clips that sort of matches this particular model. These have smaller clips as well, but not as small as this one. This is sort of cute. And the weird color, I mean, this pen, because of its, and it's also in pretty nice shape, the cap. So this goes up in the $75 range again. And brown, I'm going to call it. Just because, well, 65 because of that. Now I could take this lever out, put a nice shiny one in, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, gray. Somehow the gray ones make me think that that's the color these should be. I have the same feeling with Parker 51s. If Parker 51s came in one color, gray should be the color with a luster-like cap. There's something about them that just makes me think that that's the perfect color for that pen. A Parker duofold is red. That's the correct color for that pen. Yeah, the blue one's nice, the yellow one's rare and valuable, but it doesn't make sense. The red one is the right one. And the dove gray, there's something about the 51 in the gray barrel with the luster-like cap that makes it seem like it's correct. It makes me think of my grandmother who wore gray suede gloves. And it just makes sense. This pen, because it's kind of 51-like, even with a nicer version of this cap, the gray just seems to fit well. Now this is Pure Gustafson's brain at work, or not working, depending on. Oh, there's a little blemish there that can come off. It's in nice shape, $60, I guess. Gray. And finally, this one has the crappiest, the crappiest of the. Now, why did I say 55 on this one? This might have had a different. This may have had a different cap on it, and it just got moved around. When I'm at a pen show, I'm always shoving things around, and when it comes time to close up shop, I'm always putting pens back together and not really paying much attention. Why is that? Why does this seem longer? What's going on here? Is it longer? No, it isn't longer. It just seems longer. I don't know what's going on there with my little head. This has a really, really nice fine nib on it. I may just keep this pen. No, I don't need to keep it, but I'm keeping it with this cap and that price. No, I might even, well, fine nib. Yeah, I'll just keep it where it is, $55. The nib is really nice, and I don't know why I'm saying that. How different is it from the other ones? I really don't quite know. It's just my mood I'm in right now. I haven't had breakfast, and I didn't really have much of a dinner, so maybe it's my body shutting down, and the first part that shuts down is my brain, the judgment of my brain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I haven't. One of these no, I've got 2 gray. I must have missed one of them. I missed a black one. Well, I don't remember. I missed a black one. I'll just say that this is 55. I'll put that up here. Put that on top. See, this is what happens. I get confused. I get mixed up. This one, the last one I'm trying, it's just, there's something about this nib that is singing to me a little bit more in a certain kind of way, in a falsetto voice, maybe. It's singing to me, and it sounds lovely. And so I'm not putting this down. It's very funny at a pen show. You'll see someone, you'll be next to someone, and they're holding a pen that you want, and you're waiting for them to put it down. You're just waiting for them to go through the motions of saying, okay, I don't want this one. And you grab it. I remember doing that once at a pen show, and the guy that put it down got very upset with me for picking it up and wanting to buy it. And I should have held my ground and said, because it wasn't just, it was listening to him try to dicker with the owner of the pen for a half an hour, trying to get this beautiful pen for a lot less than it was marked and a lot less than it was worth. And I just, in my mind, it was going, you are a jerk, you are a jerk, you are a jerk. And he is a jerk. If he's still living, he's still a jerk. If he's dead, good for that. I don't mean to be mean about my fellow pen collectors, but he was exactly, in every way, shape, or form, he was the wrong kind of collector. When he was in a room with a bunch of pen collectors, the room was lessened by his presence. When he would leave, there was one pen show where someone yelled at him for being a jerk. A dink and a jerk is a jink. For being a jank. And the crowd all clapped because we all wanted to do exactly what this guy had done. Anyway, he put it down. I grabbed it, and he said, well, that's my pen. I said, well, you put it down. No, that's my pen. So at least I guess he had to pay full price at that point. So I guess I helped the dealer out with that. So this, I sort of do that all the time when I'm showing pens to people, and they're, I dip it in the ink and I try it out and I hand it to them, and in my trying it out, I think, oh my God, please put that down so I can keep it. So this is the, among all of these, this is the one that isn't really true. It's sort of, I don't know. It might be the one that I would prefer out of all of them. They're all, many of them are similar in nibbage. Some are broader, some are medium-ish, some are fine. But anyway, that's what they are. So they range in price from $40, $45 to $80. One is $80. Which one is that? This one. This one is $80. Is that the one? And why is this $80? I think this is, it's just a whim. It's because of the broad nib. This is a pen that I could easily sell to a lefty. I could sell this to an artist. Even a calligrapher might like it for certain kinds of work. So that's why. And because it sort of fits with this short, stubby size. That's probably why. And this one, it's a nice nib. I don't need it. It's not any, really, it's just the last one. Maybe that was it. Now, these pens, you often will see pens that look like this, that have nibs like this in them, a regular nib. And again, they have caps that are more or less like these. And because they have standard nibs, they can write in many more ways than these can. These particular pens are generally not sought after by pen collectors because they are an imitation of the 51, and because of that people find it less good because it's an imitation. And so some collectors have a disdain for these pens, but I don't. And partly is because they have a slight ability to be flexible. They're much like a 51. They sort of feel like a 51. They kind of look like a 51, except they have that ability to have a flexible nib, more flexible nib than a 51. So there we go. There's a bunch of pens that are for sale. Ta-da!